we've seen the benefits. I think the agronomists have seen the benefits of knowing how much moisture in the probe. I've met some of the farmers that have used our technology, and they say it's one of the most important technologies on their farm now.
We know where the water is in the profile, and working with the researchers to be able to come up with that sort of data has been really, really powerful.
The land management practice change that we've done here over the last half a dozen years, which has been informed through the soil moisture probe. The main driver is a production outcome driver. Higher stock numbers, higher density of DSC density over the landscape, because effectively we're growing more grass.
I'm sure we both benefited from the fact that we had the science and the farmers working together in a really productive way, and also coming up with what were really concrete solutions and strategies to keep moving things forward and always improving.
So at the time of the soil moisture probe development, it was actually being developed to measure deep drainage. That's the amount of water that goes through the profile across the year and then drains out through the landscape into the creek system, the Jugyong Creek, and then goes down that into the river system, the Murrumbidgee River. So knowing what the salt load contribution was from our farming practices, if we could measure that, if they could find a way to measure that, was really important. So hence the development of the deep soil moisture probe.
Dryland farmers were having troubles with dryland salinity, which is the result of water escaping past the root systems of their annual crops. And I got involved with people like John Kierkegaard and John Paciora, people that were working with the problem and also had connections to the Harden Landcare Group. And after I developed a prototype, they said to me, well, why don't you get involved with the Harden Landcare Group? And so I did. We had a field trip out there, and got involved in some of John Kierkegaard's work at Oxton Park, where he was looking at stubble retention as a way of reducing deep drainage, and wanted to put my prototype instruments in. And
it was the first time we had a direct measurement of drainage below our treatments.
And that's where it all began. And I guess it's been a wonderful relationship. It's now 30 years old. We're still working with the Harden Landcare Group. When I left CSIRO, another researcher, Warren Bond, took over the project, and he's worked very closely with the Harden Landcare Group to get all the information on this project onto an internet site where it could be shared.
And pretty much from the time we put these probes in, for the next 20 years, there was very little deep drainage going beyond 2 metres with a good farming system, be that a perennial pasture or a good cropping system. So for sure, in really wet years, drainage does happen, but in the main, across that period, there was very little drainage going beyond that. But what we started to see was, okay, there's moisture in the profile. Now, where is it? So we're really interested in trying to find out how we can use that information. So working with the likes of Paul and John Kierkegaard, and looking at where this moisture is in the profile, so developing the system so it could give us data to show us where plant available water was in the profile as the season progresses. And that's what these Terrason probes are really, it's a pretty powerful bit of information they can give us. They can tell us, at 60 centimetres there's 20 millimetres of moisture available, or 80 centimetres or a metre, or 1.2 metres. We know where the water is in the profile, and working with the researchers to be able to come up with that sort of data has been really, really powerful.
So from those initial beginnings of just understanding how much water's draining to understanding how much water is there at any time, we now in our research are using these soil moisture sensors quite extensively, along with growers who are also using them commercially, to really get a good handle on how much water's there and a system to make much better decisions for profit and also for sustainability.
Subsequent to all of this, we now have an array of moisture probes across the network where growers can log in and have a look and see what the moisture profiles are like under pastures, under crops, under a whole various range of land uses.
One of the benefits of the soil moisture probe, because it's measuring moisture so deep, will indicate to us that we are achieving sort of a deeper root systems through the different perennial grasses. The progressive data from these probes will inform the success of our current grazing management, and to an extent where we can change that management, maybe make the grazing period shorter, maybe make them longer, sort of adjust recovery periods, influence how much attention we pay to ground cover. We can regenerate the landscape, create a more sustainable production system, and at the same time, increase our production outcomes.
All sorts of other industries now know how much water is available, and I'd like to think that a large percentage of that came from the on-ground practices, and Harden Landcare stuck to it with the researchers, finding little buckets of money here, there and everywhere to continue the research.
Certainly in my research career, the model, I guess, that was formed between this really close link between growers with practical issues in the field and scientists who are looking to try and overcome them, but want to do so in a really relevant way. That's continued into all of the projects I run. I almost always like to have growers in the room when we first initiate a project, because I think the success and the impact of the work at Harden over the years is really proof that that kind of model works very well.